Dopamine fasting is everywhere right now. Delete everything, no pleasure, suffer for 30 days. Here's the problem. That's not how dopamine works. And even if it did, it makes you weaker, not stronger. I'm about to show you the real protocol, the one high achievers actually use. You don't eliminate dopamine, you retrain what triggers it. Front load effort, backload pressure. Build a system that works forever, not suffer for a month and then collapse. This is the full playbook. Let's walk through it. The real way to reset your brain without monk mode BS. So, the lie you've been sold. Dopamine fasting is everywhere. Delete social media, stop listening to music, don't eat tasty food, no sex, no pleasure, sit in silence and suffer until your brain resets. Here's the problem. That's not how dopamine works. Even if it did work, it would make you weaker, not stronger. Let me explain the real neuroscience here. Then I'll give you the actual protocol that high achievers use. The one that makes you more productive, not more miserable. So part one, how dopamine actually works, the basics. Dopamine is not a pleasure chemical. That's a myth that just won't die. Dopamine is a motivation and prediction chemical. It tells your brain this is worth pursuing. So here's how it works. 1, your brain predicts a reward. 2, dopamine spikes in anticipation. 3, you take action to get the reward. 4, you get the reward or don't. Then 5, your brain updates its prediction. The dopamine spike happens before you get the reward, not after. It's the pursuit that releases dopamine, not the achievement. That's why scrolling social media is addictive, not because it feels good, because your brain keeps predicting the next post will be good. The baseline problem. So here's what actually matters, your dopamine baseline. Think of it like a bank account. Every time you get a dopamine spike, you're making a withdrawal. If you make too many withdrawals without deposits, you go broke. So low dopamine baseline equals depressed, unmotivated, can't focus. High dopamine baseline means energized, driven, and sharp. The problem with modern life, we're constantly spiking dopamine with cheap hits. That's social media, porn, junk food, video games, endless scrolling. And then each spike feels good in the moment, but it drains your baseline. So you need bigger and bigger spikes to feel anything. That's tolerance. That's addiction. That's why you can't focus on hard work anymore. So why dopamine fasting doesn't work? Now, the fasting crowd says, eliminate all dopamine sources and let your baseline reset. It sounds logical, but it's based on a misunderstanding. You cannot reset your dopamine system by starving it. What actually happens is you remove all pleasure from your life, you suffer for 30 days, you feel like shit the whole time, then you go back to your old habits because you're miserable. Even if you stick with it, you haven't solved the actual problem. You haven't taught your brain what to spike dopamine for. You've made yourself miserable and called it discipline. Part 2, the real problem and the solution. So the issue isn't dopamine, but it's what triggers it. Your brain releases dopamine when it predicts a reward. The problem is that you've trained it to predict rewards from. So, low-value dopamine triggers like notification sounds, the infinite scroll, porn, sugar, drugs, alcohol, gambling, mindless consumption. Now, we wanted to trigger on these things. For example, solving hard problems, building something, physical training, creative work, earning money, learning a skill, real human connection. The solution isn't to eliminate dopamine, it's to retrain what triggers it. The dopamine hierarchy, so not all dopamine is created equal. And so tier 1, it's the super normal stimuli. This is to avoid, right? So designed to hijack your brain. This is porn, social media, junk food, video games, infinite novelty, zero effort. It drains your baseline, builds tolerance. And tier 2, it's the natural rewards. This is, moderate. So we're talking sex, food, social connection, healthy in moderation, necessary for life. You don't eliminate, you don't, just don't abuse it here. And then finally, tier 3, earned rewards. We want to maximize these. So hard work paying off, problem solving, skill mastery, physical achievement. These build your baseline. So the goal is to eliminate tier 1, we want to moderate tier 2, and then maximize tier 3. Part 3, the high achiever dopamine protocol. Here's the system I use and the system I've seen work for hundreds of others. Phase 1, the 7-day detox, but it's not what you think. So what to eliminate? Social media apps. So delete them, not just log out. Porn, and that's all of it. I'll probably make another video on just that one alone. Video games, if you play more than 1 hour a day, mindless YouTube, Netflix, binge watching type activities, junk food, processed sugar, seed oils, etc. What not to eliminate? For example, music, coffee. Again, people think caffeine is bad up to a moderate degree, but a lot of people enjoy coffee, personally, myself as well. Good food, sex, friends, books, movies. Obviously, if intentional, not binge watching. The goal isn't suffering. The goal is removing supernormal stimuli that your brain cannot regulate. So why 7 days and not 30? Because 30 days is unnecessary torture. 7 days is enough to break the acute addiction. After that, it's about building new habits and not starving yourself. Phase 2, dopamine stacking. This is going to be days 8 to 90. And this is where the magic happens. So morning dopamine stack is you wake up, your dopamine's lowest in the morning, and this is perfect. Don't spike it immediately. So no phone, no coffee yet. I think studies show, it's best to take coffee after 90 minutes minimum, or maybe an hour or two after you wake up, not right away. No stimulation, of course. So instead, do something hard first. So workout, cold shower, deep work session, write, code, build. The harder the task, the bigger the dopamine release when you complete it. And here's the key. You're training your brain to spike dopamine from effort, not consumption. Do this for 90 days straight. Your brain will rewire. Afternoon dopamine earn. So after some deep work, then you get pleasure. Good meal, coffee, music, social time. But you earned it. You front-loaded the effort, and now the pleasure reinforces that behavior. And then for the evening wind down, right? So no screens 1 hour before bed. Read, talk to someone, think. Low dopamine before sleep equals better sleep, and that also equals a higher baseline tomorrow. Phase 3, friction design. This is permanent. Make bad dopamine hard to get and good dopamine easy to get. So you want to add friction to tier 1, the bad stuff we talked about earlier. Phone in another room when you're working, social media apps deleted. If you must use it, use a browser. It'll force you to, have it be a bit more inconvenient, of course. Junk food, not in the house. Gaming console unplugged. Remove friction from tier 3. So workout clothes laid out before you go to the gym or you want to go for a run. Work environment optimize. Projects visible and ready. Books on the nightstand. Environment design is 80% of the battle. Part 4, the dopamine debt system. So here's an advanced tactic most people miss. Every pleasure you take without earning it creates dopamine debt. So what does that mean? If you scroll Instagram for 30 minutes before doing any work, you just took a dopamine hit without earning it. And now your brain expects rewards without effort. And that's debt. You have to pay it back with lower motivation later. So the rule is effort before pleasure, always. An example of, daily sequence here, the wrong way: wake up, phone, coffee, breakfast, then you get motivated, then work. The right way, we wake up, we work for 2 hours, we have breakfast, coffee, and then phone if you still need it. You front load the hard stuff, back load the pleasure. This isn't deprivation, it's strategic reward timing. Part 5, the pleasure protocol. Here's what dopamine fasters get wrong. Pleasure isn't the enemy. Unearned pleasure is. You should have pleasure in your life: sex, food, music, friends, fun. But you should the earn to pleasure ratio. So roughly for every hour of hard work, you get 10 to 15 minutes of pure pleasure. So 4 hours of deep work equals 1 hour of guilt-free pleasure. This isn't a rule you stack religiously, it's a philosophy. Do hard shit first, then enjoy yourself. The weekly pleasure budget. Most high achievers I know have 1 day per week that's pure pleasure. Saturday or Sunday, no work, just fun. But they earned it with 6 days of focused work. And this prevents burnout. It keeps dopamine sensitivity high because you're cycling between effort and reward. Part 6, why monk mode makes you weaker. Let's talk about why extreme deprivation backfires. The monk mode promise: eliminate all pleasure for 30, 90 days. Become superhuman. What actually happens is you feel disciplined for the first week. Week 2, you feel like crap. Week 3, you're miserable and irritable. Week 4, you're either quitting or white knuckling through. And when you're done, you binge because you're taught your brain that discipline equals suffering, so it resists discipline. The real problem is monk mode is unsustainable. You can't live like a monk forever. So when you go back to normal life, you haven't learned how to regulate dopamine in the real world. You just proved you can suffer for 90 days. Cool, now what? So the better approach is build a system that you can maintain forever, not suffer for 90 days then collapse. Sustainable discipline beats temporary extremism every time. Part 7, the dopamine psychology. So here's the psychological component nobody talks about. Dopamine fasting is often disguised self-punishment. People who do extreme dopamine fasts are usually punishing themselves for not being disciplined enough, not being successful enough, or just not being good enough. So they remove all joy from their life and call it optimization. That's not growth, that's self-flagellation. The healthy mindset is you're not broken. You don't need to punish yourself. You just need to retrain your reward system. And you do that through positive reinforcement, not punishment. Do the hard work. Feel the dopamine hit from completing it. Enjoy pleasure you earned and repeat. That's sustainable. That's healthy. That's how you build a high performance life without hating yourself. And part 8, the practical framework. Let me give you the exact daily structure. So morning, 6 a.m., you wake up, no phone, no coffee yet, hydrate. I actually personally do about 40 ounces of water in my first hour of the day. And you'd be surprised, sometimes don't even need coffee. And really everybody is dehydrated when they first wake up. And if you just drink a lot of water in the beginning, you just feel like Superman. So a good tip there. 6:15 a.m., we move. We work out, run, walk, 20, 45 minutes, no music, no podcasts, just silence and thinking. 7 a.m., work block. Hardest task of the day, 90 to 120 minutes. This is deep focus work, no interruptions. 9 a.m., breakfast plus coffee. So you earned it. Real food, not sugar. This is your first pleasure of the day. 9:30, work block 2. Second most important task. So here we focus for 90 to 120 minutes as well. 11:30, we take a break. We walk, we read. Social media, 10 minutes max. Now the afternoon comes in, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So at 12, we do lunch. No meal, no screens. 1 p.m., you do your admin stuff, your meetings, email, calls, light tasks. At 3, we do a work block 3. This is the creative or strategic work, 60 to 90 minutes. 4:30, we do gym/train, if not done in the morning. 5:30, we shut down, no more work, and then we plan for tomorrow. So the evening, 6 p.m. to 10. 6 o'clock, ideally, this is great for dinner, social, family time, conversation, connection, human connection. 8 p.m., this is free time. This is where you read, movie, do a hobby, whatever you want, you've earned it. 9:30, we wind down, no screens, read, or your journal, something very low stimulation. 10 p.m., we sleep. So here's the weekly rhythm, right? Monday through Friday, we do work-focused stuff. We earn the weekend. Saturday is pure pleasure, no work guilt, right? Don't feel guilty. Sunday, you could probably do 50-50 light work, but mostly rest. Part 9, the measurement system. So how do you know if this is working, right? So we track these metrics weekly. Focus duration. Can you work 90 minutes plus without distraction? Improving means it's working. Morning motivation. Do you wake up energized or dragging? Energized obviously means it's working. Number 3, pleasure to satisfaction. Does pleasure actually feel good? If you're numb, your baseline's low. 4 is effort tolerance. Can you start hard tasks without procrastinating? If yes, it's working. Then the evening energy, number 5, is are you fried or are you satisfied? If you're satisfied, this is working. If you improve over 4 weeks, your dopamine system is healing. Part 10, the Relapse Protocol. You will screw up and F up. Everybody does. You'll binge Netflix for 6 hours, you'll scroll for 2 hours, you'll eat like crap for a week. So here's what not to do. Don't spiral, don't punish yourself, don't do a 30-day monk mode to make up for it. Here's what to do. Notice it happened. Identify the trigger. Was it stress, boredom? Were you tired? Get back on protocol tomorrow. No drama, just adjust. And the rule is 1 bad day doesn't matter. 3 bad days in a row does mean it's a pattern to fix. Part 11, the advanced tactics. So once you've mastered the basics, here are the next level moves. Tactic 1 is dopamine cycling. So don't live at 100% intensity forever. It's never sustainable. Cycle between high output and recovery. Just kind of like what an athlete does. So for example, 3 weeks of high output, full protocol, then 1 week recovery, more pleasure, less grind, and then you repeat. This prevents adaptation and your brain stays sensitive. Tactic 2 is novelty injection. So your brain craves novelty. If you don't give it healthy novelty, it will seek unhealthy novelty, like scrolling, for example. So healthy novelty sources are like new hiking trails, a different workout, a new book genre, travel, even if it's local, new skill to learn, different work environment. Once a week, do something novel. Tactic 3, the dopamine menu. Create a list of high-value dopamine hits you can choose from. So when you want stimulation, you can just kind of like pick from a menu. So for example, what is allowed and good is calling a friend, a 10-minute walk, reading a chapter, stretch, coffee, music, a quick workout. What's not allowed is social media, porn, junk food, or binge content. Having pre-approved options prevents bad choices when willpower is low. And tactic 4 here, the completion dopamine hack. So finish things. Incomplete tasks drain dopamine. Every open loop in your brain, like an unfinished project, half-read book, unmade decision, costs you. Close loops aggressively. Finish the chapter. Complete the task. Make the decision. Your brain rewards completion with dopamine. So give it completions. And part 12, the long-term vision. Here's what happens after 90 days in this protocol. Month 1 is very hard. You'll miss the easy dopamine, but you'll notice focus improving. Month 2, easier. New habits forming. Pleasure feels better because you're earning it. Month 3 is natural. You don't think about it. This is just how you live now. Month 6, you'll look back and realize you're more productive and more focused, more satisfied, and you didn't have to become a monk to do it. So here's the vision. A life where work feels engaging, not draining. Pleasure feels satisfying, not hollow. You're building something real. You're not constantly fighting your brain. And that's what protocol creates. So the core principles in summary. Let me bring this all together. Dopamine's not the enemy. Unearned dopamine is. You can't reset your brain by starving it. The solution is retraining what triggers dopamine release. Eliminate supernormal stimuli like tier 1 stuff. Moderate natural rewards, tier 2 stuff. And then we maximize earned rewards, which is tier 3. We want to front load the effort and back load the pleasure. Build a system where you can sustain forever. Pleasure is necessary, just earn it first. Monk mode is punishment disguised as discipline. So here's the action plan. Here's what you do starting today. Week 1, the purge. Delete social media apps, remove junk food from the house, unplug gaming consoles, and no porn. Week 2 to 4 is we rebuild. Morning work block before any pleasure. Earn every dopamine hit, track your focus duration. Week 5 to 12, the integration. This is your life now, not a challenge, not a lifestyle. And ongoing, right? Weekly pleasure day would be weekend, Saturday or Sunday, pick one. Monthly novelty injection, quarterly system review. Final thoughts here for everybody. Dopamine fasting is marketed as the ultimate discipline hack, but it's based on a misunderstanding on how dopamine works. You don't need to eliminate pleasure, you just need to earn it. You don't need to suffer, you need to build. You don't need monk mode, you need a system that works in the real world. That is the system. This is that system. Use it, build a high performance life you want without hating yourself in the process. Now go earn your dopamine. Thank you very much.